what we've done so far tonight, Louis? Have you
Been
learned
an
anything?
interesting show. I mean, all the guests are great. I love hearing UK. Somebody who comes from another country and has totally immersed himself in American football. Call it a cultural appropriation, whatever you want to do it. It's just nice to see, a sport like football, taking on in places, all over the world, even though he does live in Texas. But, I love it. And then the conversation with Henning was fantastic. The guy who, like I said, can progress with time. Almost like in this David Bowie kind of like chameleon-esque way, to get a little musical on you guys. But, just to adapt to the times and to do it swiftly. I mean, and the professionalism that he exudes when he speaks is something that I aspire to, carry on as my career continues to develop. There's a lot, that you can learn from people who've been in this business a long time. Even the newcomers, they offer their own perspective, and it kind of, makes you step back and take a look at how you do things.
Yeah, well, again, I had people I leaned on, and I'm hoping as time goes on, as I take you to more and more events and expose you to more and more people, that you understand what things are all about. And I've learned over the years from people bringing me into the picture, it's all about moving Louis, in steps, but doing it slowly so you understand what you're doing, and gradual growth is really what it's all about. And that's what I've tried to emphasize upon you. And obviously, as you continue to be around me more and more, you'll understand the growth in your career is not only how you write things, but how you speak them. So with that said, okay, we want to welcome Bill Winters back to the show. Hey, Bill, how are you tonight?
I'm doing fine, Scott. How are you?
All right. Well, with me is my new co-host, Louis Addeo-Weiss. Louis, this is your first opportunity to speak with Wild Bill Winters.
How's it going, Bill? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Louis.
All right.
So, obviously we're going to talk about our new show premiering tomorrow, but Louis, let's talk about Christian McCaffrey, Bill. Okay, what are your thoughts about his play?
Right now, he's the MVP of the league.
And that's an argument I made.
According to the sources, he's done it all. Catching the ball and running it. He's doing most of the Panthers' offense.
Also fun to mention how physically, just almost like Adonis-esque the dude looks out there. I mean, I've never seen a running back with a build kind of like his. I mean, he's pretty tall for his respective position, but if the guy was drafted as a wide receiver, you could argue he could have been a late first-round pick at a receiver, too. I mean, the guy, I've never seen a dual threat at that position. Elliott, you can make that case, too, but I just think McCaffrey is just some different kind of breed at that running back position.
Yes, there's no argument here. He was designed to take some of the heat off of Cam, and they know that he can do both things coming out of the backfield, run and pass, and that's a double-edged weapon, and that's why he's right now the leading candidate for the MVP.
Yeah, so tell me, Bill, what are your thoughts about his overall play, not only as a runner, but a receiver, and the type of player that he actually is?
Well, he just, he's reliable, doesn't turn the ball over, really smart, great character guy, just a total package. Not a whole lot you can say. His actions speak volumes.
All right, so tell me, Bill, do you think that he could have survived during, the good old days?
Sure.
Okay.
Backs like him, he's kind of a super-powered Jim Jensen.
A super-powered Jim Jensen.
Yeah, he runs the ball a lot better than Jim, but he'd do a lot of things. I bet you can throw the ball, too, if he really had to. Not as well as Jim, but, you can get him running that halfback option, so... there's a lot of ammo with him in the backfield.
136 possessions for McCaffrey this year and 0 fumbles. So, I mean, yeah, he's a fantastic ball handler, as we've clearly established. Also, double the fantasy points by way of Football Reference, double the fantasy points so far compared to Ezekiel Elliott. So, I mean, this guy, if he's 1A, 1B with the MVP at this point between him and Patrick Mahomes, but... yeah,
he's probably got to be 2/3 of their offense, too.
I mean, no disagreement there. Their receiving core isn't what it was when that Panthers team, I believe, went 15-1 en route to a Super Bowl appearance, and Cam was the MVP of the league. But, having McCaffrey like that would be a lethal weapon for any team, honestly. Can you imagine him in New England for an already stacked offense like that? I know they have Sony Michel, but Tom Brady would play till he's 60 if McCaffrey was on that team.
Yes, a good running game helps your quarterback, no doubt about it.
All right, now I have a question for you, Bill. Okay, I know it's probably a question that's probably an age-old question, but obviously you've seen a lot of quarterbacks through the years. Do you think that Tom Brady can actually make a case as the greatest of all time? And then the second part is, if not, who would you put in that category?
He's the greatest of all time.
Is he? Okay. And why do you say he's the greatest of all time?
Championships, he's still going strong, and probably by the time he finishes, he'll be the all-time leading passer in the NFL. Touchdowns, total yards, championships. You got to give him the GOAT.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can't really spell Tom Brady without throwing a GOAT in the middle of that.
Well, that's okay. But just something that a lot of our listeners would probably like to know, and I think that's a fair thing. All right, meanwhile, we'll go from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield, who, what is your assessment on Mayfield in his 20 games?
Well, the first thing I'm going to say to you is I like Baker, but I also know that he's overrated. I will tell you that it's really tough to play quarterback when you don't have a run game. Last night, the 49ers got really beaten up front. They couldn't establish, Chubb, it was a great running back. So then, it's tough for him to drop back when you have an offensive line that's not great pass blockers. And remember, the 49ers have 4 number 1 picks up on the defensive line. So they're building a team just like the old Buccaneers, so they're going to be a dominant defense. And what happens is your quarterback, basically is a one-read type of guy that has to start running around because he doesn't have great pass protection. So, he's taking a step backward over where he was last year. And it's really, really tough right now because, they kind of ran their mouth a little bit. In the National Football League, you don't do that because paybacks are a bitch. And right now he's having a hate handed to him, and I don't think Cleveland's going to win the next couple of games.
Well,
and I think it's going to be tough for them to stay together, but I think they will. But the bottom line is, he needs to be quiet. He needs to stop turning the ball over. I noticed during training camp he was a little inaccurate, throwing the ball too high. He's throwing a lot of picks right now, and he's digressing. And like I said before, last year, he played some quarterback, but when they get 8 or 9 games on you on tape, they're going to take away what you do best. And if you notice, when he drops back, he starts rolling to the right. And they're forcing him to play quarterback, and he's not doing it right now. And, he's not getting a lot of support from his teammates, too. So not all his fault, but a big percentage, lies for the quarterback.
Well, Nick Bosa had a bone to pick with him, and he certainly got him pretty good the other night, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You can't go bad-mouthing guys or doing anything in college, because if you're both good players, there comes a point, Bill, they're going to see in the pros, and all of a sudden it's a different thing. The only difference is you're getting paid in the pros, and Nick Bosa made no bones that he had a bone to pick with him and did exactly that.
It was fun to watch.
Well, yeah.
I got to say this to you in all fairness. I like Baker Mayfield. I feel bad for him a little bit, but I also know that your job as a quarterback is to lead, and a little less talk and a little bit more action is what he needs to do right now, so he can basically lead this team through some adversity, because it happens to all teams. And the reality of it is that he's got an uphill battle right now with the next 5 games they've got to play. Seattle, New England, and I think 3 other teams that have got winning records, so it's going to be tough.
Now, I got a question.
I just think the media's hyping it a little bit too, so you got to be quiet and just kind of let it blow over.
I mean, I have a question to you now, continuing on the subject of Mayfield, considering that, they did make the moves in the offseason to go after and acquire, the likes of Odell Beckham and, former Miami Dolphin Jarvis Landry, 2 elite receivers on their former respective teams, and we've said, and you just recently noted he is throwing a lot of picks, 8 interceptions at this point, leads the NFL through week 5. But what can you say has been the problem with him and getting to Odell Beckham? I saw a note this morning that the last 2 games he's targeted Beckham 13 times and he's only completed 4 passes to him. As far as, you're concerned, what do you think has been the problem with him and Beckham thus far this season?
Well, when you have a good running game, okay, off your quarterback, and the quarterback can drop back and make reads and get the ball to your two, blue chip wide receivers, we'll call them. Okay, well, but we're not getting the run game. The defense, to start playing those guys a little better coverage and not get separation, it makes it difficult. So you've got to be operating on all cylinders. You've got to be able to run the game, run the football, and your quarterback's got to be able to step back in the pocket and be able to relax a little bit in there and make his reads. And the bottom line, he's not getting that opportunity, and the jury's still out whether or not he knows even how to read coverages. So it's going to be tough for him to get the ball to those two receivers when you're kind of running around a little bit back there, and can't set your feet because you don't have a run game with the guys are pinning their airbacks and coming after you. Plus, you're playing from behind.
Yeah, and they've stopped the run game on him this year. He has a total of 0 rushing yards for a guy coming out of college. We thought, given his size, a little bit of a bigger Kyler Murray for his respective height, but they've just totally destroyed the run game. He had a respective 136 rushing yards last year, but this year they've just totally grounded him. And
because they're making him go to the right, and they're not giving him an opportunity to run with it. And the bottom line is, the team isn't really helping them as well as far as their ability to pass protect for him or run the football. Plus, you're playing from behind, and they're a little soft up the middle on both the defense and offensive lines. And they got exposed last night for what they really are. So, I don't know if the 49ers are as good as everybody's saying they are because they really haven't played anybody yet. But they are 4-0, and they showed out last night. So we'll see.
Great segue. So let's talk about the 49ers, and we're going to talk about our show, Bill, that debuts tomorrow, called Mad Mouth and Wild Bill Winters. Okay. First of all, you brought the 49ers. I want to continue on that while for a few minutes, okay? Jimmy Garoppolo obviously suffered a severe injury a year ago. He's back. He's with Kyle Shanahan. Everybody knows that the Falcons' fortunes went downhill when Shanahan moved on to San Francisco. So, what are your thoughts about Jimmy Garoppolo?
You still got to prove it to me.
Okay.
I don't know that he doesn't have enough games. I think he's played 18 games. He's done well. Didn't play much in preseason. I still think he's favoring the knee. But like I said before, when you have a really good running game, which the 49ers appear to have,
Right.
and you play great defense, and your quarterback doesn't give away games, you can be a game manager. You can be a very, very good quarterback. And then as his season progresses, he'll get better and better. And that's what I like about Jimmy. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't throw picks. He plays within the offense, and I think that's where they got him there. And they seem to have him, doing all the right things right now. He looks good. But, going down the stretch, I don't know if they're a championship team yet where you can put him in the same category as Breeze and Brady and, the guy from Green Bay.
Well, from a division,
So we'll see.
yeah, from a divisional standpoint, I think I'll be very curious to see how they fare up against their divisional opponents, and we should have a lot more clarity on that for sure as the year goes on, without a doubt, because that's where a lot of tests usually occur when a team sees each other twice a year.
Yeah, they play the Rams pretty quickly, and so that's going to be a real litmus test for how good they are. But I kind of like what I saw, and I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a good, solid quarterback. But I think he's still got some things to prove to hardcore guys who are into winning championships.
Now, would you say, I'm looking at his numbers right here, and he hasn't thrown a pass more than 39 yards all season. We've heard the Patriots' offense being criticized for this kind of dink and doink kind of thing where, Brady likes to go with a lot of screen passes to his running backs or, up the middle to Edelman to quickly pick up first downs. Would you say that Garoppolo learned a lot under Belichick and, Josh Daniels during his time in New England as Brady's backup and translated that over to San Francisco where he's obviously having success early?
Sure, and Shanahan is a great offensive mind as well. High percentage passes, a little bit of the West Coast offense, high percentage passes. So, you don't have to throw the ball deep just every once in a while, throw it deep just to kind of keep the defense honest. But the reality of it is, he's probably learned an awful lot from Brady and also Shanahan. So he's probably been coached up extremely well to play within the offense. So he doesn't have to make him do things that he, doesn't necessarily be great at.
Okay, Bill, let's talk about our new show. I've been anxious to launch this pretty soon, so I'm sure you've had a little bit of time to think about it. What do you want people to know about you, and what do you want to accomplish?